Greetings, heathens and heretics. Yeah, that wasn't rehearsed. It definitely wasn't rehearsed.
No, God, we should have rehearsed it though, shouldn't we?
Fuck's sake. Welcome to another one of these short videos. If you just watched our first one, which hopefully you did.
I hope so.
More than 4 or 5 people with a bit of luck.
I'm going to assume everybody has.
The whole fucking world.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've done one already. Talked about 3 albums and whatnot. So this is going to be something a bit different. Anybody who follows us on social media will have seen this before, but yeah, we'll get into it in a sec. First and foremost, we need to talk about beer.
Always.
Because it's almost as important as riffs.
It's almost, yeah. I mean, it's up there, definitely.
So, our sponsors.
Yeah, let's hear about Radio City Beer Works, Chelmsford Bar, or Chelmsford Brewery, I should say, and bar. Making some absolutely delicious beer, which we're tasting here. Yeah, I've got a bit of Inhale the Chaos.
You see a doctor about
that? Yeah, I should do, but fucking the wait time's too long. So,
like we always say, fucking magnificent beers, proper craft beer. Every single one is different. So get involved. Go check out the website rcbw.shop. I'll chuck a link down there as well in the comments. And yeah, UK delivery, local delivery. Get involved.
Yeah,
fucking great.
And if you're in the Chelmsford area, go in for a pint.
Even more important,
But let's talk about the other important thing: beer and riffs. And one thing we like to talk about on In the Abyss is unsung bangers, as we call them. So those albums that not a lot of people talk about, they might have slipped under the radar, but we think are absolutely worthy of your attention.
And we know best.
You know best. I just do whatever you say. So who are we going to talk about today? It's a band. It's a popular band, right? So this isn't necessarily about underground music or anything like that. As much as we champion that, we like to talk about it. But we wanted to shine the spotlight on a band that I think most of you will already know. But a lot of people focus on a very specific point of this band's career, and some of the other stuff falls by the wayside. So we want to talk about Corrosion of Conformity.
Oh, I love the way you've done that. Beautiful.
In the Arms of God. What a fucking great.
It is one of those albums as well, because it's got a fucking bite to it.
Yeah.
But why are we talking about it, and why are we talking about COC? Because a lot of people know who COC are and whatnot, but they are one of our favourites, aren't they?
I love them.
Adore.
I love them. Yeah. Well, you've got tattoos, haven't you?
I do, yeah. Sort of between my shoulder blades. I've got a COC tattoo, and that was done many, many moons ago. So that they're a band that have always been with me, and they always will be. They've had their ups and downs in their career. They obviously started out as a hardcore band, and then Pepper Keenan comes along, and you get Blind. Another fucking magnificent album. And everything starts to change. Everything gets a bit more southern, more riff-based, and it just gets heavier and heavier and heavier. And then they become Corrosion Conformity, the band that know them for, basically.
Yeah.
But what you're saying about that period, in the 90s, that's what people remember Corrosion Conformity for.
Yeah, I mean, they had obviously Deliverance, I think, was the big breakthrough. I think Blind is the album that people look at with real affection. A lot of people, that was their stepping on point. I think Deliverance, blew them up. And then they started on, I guess, quite an interesting trajectory, really. And I think to a lot of people, they would say that maybe they became more commercial. They were more of a classic rock sound was coming in. They were going on tour with Metallica, who were kind of doing a similar thing. Like the two sounds sort of came together in a similar way. And probably that era came to an end with an album called America's Volume Dealer. And I think it's not unreasonable to say I think they lost a lot of fans around that time, or people started losing interest. There was a lot less of the hardcore punk element in there. There was a lot less of the aggression. And actually, the long-term drummer Reed Mullin, rest in peace, left the band at that point. And he was kind of saying there's just too much country music in the sound, there's a lot of Leonard Skinner,
a lot of twang.
Influences coming and stuff like that, which I think is great, right? I love it. So, personally, I was still on board at that point. Anyway, then they come back with In the Arms of God. which is a much more aggressive sounding album. Like even when you compare it to, some of their most popular stuff, Wise Blood and Deliverance, which is, there's plenty of bite in those albums. But this one comes along and there's some, Stonebreaker, Paranoid Opioid, like this psychedelic aggression in there. Guy named Stanton Moore playing drums. So they brought him in, who was a friend of theirs, like a New Orleans friend, he's actually a jazz drummer, and the band are recording with him right now. So I'm kind of excited that whatever they come out with next, might have a similar sound to this record. But an incredibly busy drummer, big sound, and for me, that's like everything about this album is just big.
Yeah, it is. It is, but you wouldn't necessarily. It's a jazz drummer, but it's power as well, isn't it? Because it's a heavy hitting album.
Yeah,
he's hitting those drums fucking hard. And I think that's what gives it the weight. It's got some of their heavier songs.
Yeah,
which we'll talk about in a little bit more detail in a minute. But the album kicks off with Stonebreaker, like you said. It's got that southern bluesy intro.
Yeah.
And then bang, that riff kicks in. It used to be my alarm. That used to wake me up in the morning years ago, and it still never put me off. But it's just it's a great album opener. And by the time you get to track 3, you get to Rise River Rise, which takes everything down a notch, doesn't it? It comes at the perfect time.
Well, yeah, and it's probably a significant song on the record. The band being from around the New Orleans area, and there was the floods and tornadoes, hurricanes that just decimated that place. Homes were lost, businesses are lost.
Pepper Keenan lost his bar.
Yeah,
in the whole thing, and I saw them on this tour with Clutch at Exeter University, and I remember when Pepper Keenan dedicated "Rise River Rise" to the survivors and victims of Katrina, and it was another one of those hairs on the back of your neck stand up because it's so personal to him.
Yeah.
And someone in the crowd actually made some fucking joke when he was doing that, and he absolutely ruined him.
Right, yeah, I'm not surprised.
It's bang out of order, but but a great song, and with that extra meaning.
Well, that's it, and literally, the lyrics refer to the river rise is the waters and the flood waters coming up in the hometown and just wiping everything out. So it's a real lump in the throat moment. And other tracks you mentioned. We've talked about the aggression and some of the heaviest stuff they've done. I think the title track on this has got the heaviest riff that I think I've ever heard Corrosion of Conformity put down to tape.
It's just like, it's a 7-minute song, isn't it? And it's the last sort of 90 seconds as it all hits, and it's just a fucking gargantuan riff.
And if you pick any one moment to listen to, or if you just want to dip your toes into this album, that's the moment I would pick.
Yeah,
right. It's gonna kick you in the face in the best possible way. From there, you go where
only a heavy metal fan will ever appreciate a line like that.
Yeah,
I love being kicked in the face.
That is very true, but not so for us. We don't feel like this is an album that gets enough. Attention, enough love. It's not really talked about. As I said at the start of this clip, Corrosion as a band people tend to focus on a very specific moment in their career, but it's well worth looking outside of that. I'm sitting here talking about it and thinking about it. Beyond this album, you could. Pepper's kind of left the band for a while after this record as well, and went off to do what he was doing with Phil Anselmo and Down, and the band actually carried on as a 3-piece. They put out some cracking albums.
The
self-titled album is phenomenal. There's so much to talk about with this band, really. We've singled this out as an unsung banger, but really, you could stick a pin in the map of their career and pick out banger upon banger. So I think the overall message is listen to more Corrosion of Conformity.
Yes.
Anticipate the new record because they've got a new album coming out. They're recording it now, so
towards the end of this year.
So hopefully towards the end of this year. But we've singled this one out, In the Arms of God. Well worth your attention. Check it out.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave comments down below. What's your opinion on this album? Do you think it's one of their best? Whatever you've got to say about it, let's hear it, because I don't think we're in a minority, but
No, not at
who
all.
knows? It'd be great to see other people's opinions. So, drop comments down below. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. We're going to be doing this every week, whether you like it or not. So, hope you enjoyed it. Back next week. Stay heavy.